So Darwin, I just saw that you joined us, so I'm going to go over these notes really quick again. I didn't say too much, but I'll start over so you can kind of gather what I was saying. So the first thing I was saying is the halation is looking awesome. It really looks great. We still feel like there is an overexposure outside. There's still something that we can see outside. And then this is feeling really nice and saturated. I feel like you can probably push some of that halation into these leaves, like having it wrap over a bit. So it still feels like this intensity isn't just over the window, but also because halation is a lens effect. So it's not going to be isolated just one area. It's going to be an overlay, really. So if we can get some of the halation over these leaves, that would look really nice. The other thing I was mentioning is, as a challenge, you don't necessarily need to do this, but it'd be great to add some transmission to these leaves as though the sun is penetrating it, similar to how it looks in here. That would look really nice, where it feels like these leaves aren't and even if they were fake leaves, the fake leaves will still do that too. So that's something that I feel would be a great challenge if you have time.
Yeah, I actually was hi.
Hey,
So I actually was playing with the subsurface gathering, but I think maybe if I use transmission instead of subsurface would be better.
yeah,
What do you think?
yeah. I think transmission's great. It's like, are your leaves just basically a plane, or do they have like
Uh,
thickness to it?
no, no, they have no thickness yet.
Yeah, so I think transmission is perfect for that. Uh, Usually, when there's like subsurface is great when you have thickness, like the arm, like their skin. There feels like there's density there. That's where subsurface works great. When it's like something that's flat, that's when you can use transmission.
Okay, all right, I'll do that then.
And then I think in your shot, this is looking really great. The shaping on this character is looking great. I think you can bring up the eye whites a bit on this character. Um, and I was mentioning earlier that I'm gonna do some demos with how to grad in the shot and doing some additional eye work. But I think you can probably bring up the eye whites in this character. And then I think the light on here, on this side of this character on the body, is getting a little bit intense. It's getting flashed. When we say flashed, it just means that it feels really overexposed. Where I think we want to look at the face, my eye starts going here. So I think you can take that down, probably in comp, and I can show you how to. And that's going to be part of what I'm going to show today, is using specific position data to be able to isolate certain areas. Um,
Okay, all right. Maybe in using also cryptomats
yep.
to grade that on like on a color correction space or something.
Yeah, you can use a crypto mat to isolate the shirt, the vest, but I'm also seeing it a little bit on his neck. So
Okay,
I
yeah.
think it's just, and again, I'll show you like how you can grab that with specific gizmos.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then this is great. I love how you get in the bounce here. I feel like this ground. It feel like there's like this darkness around here where I would expect like this light would all feel as bright as here. See how it like, or like right here. See how bright that is? I would try to push this exposure a little bit more. And that'll give that sense that there's this bounce light. I would push that a little more and have it a little bit more warmth to it. And then I think like we'll talk about. I think on the previous version, I was talking about adding a little bit of some cool saturation up there, and I'll show you kind of how you can do that with grads a little bit later. And then I'll show you again with the eye shaping, with the irises, how you can get some eye shaping in there. And then the last little things with this character, I think he's looking great. I would try, like right now you have this nice like key light on here, but I'm not really feeling it on this like part of the shoulder. I see it here, but I don't feel it here. I would expect like the sunlight to be hitting over here. So you might want to check like what may be happening right over there. Um, I mean that's I think your stuff is looking great. It's like it's definitely improved a lot from the other versions. So I think like let's try to hit those notes, and then from there I think I have some little small notes, but I won't give those until we kind of get into this next phase.
Okay, all right. So, you said the light touching the shirt, the jacket. It's a little bit off, right?
Right, look at the key here. It feels like the key is the light's hitting here, but when he's like in full, when he's in like there's
Yeah.
nothing like obstructing him. I'm not feeling any key light on this side. I see it on his face. I feel it on his face, but I don't feel it on the jacket.
Yeah, okay, maybe I have to add another light for it because I had one light, one rim light for that, for the face and the jacket, but on the jacket it doesn't like it doesn't do what I wanted it to do.
Yeah,
So maybe you can try to put another light to it or
yeah.
check on the.
Let's see. One second. I actually have your image here. Let's look at. Let's look at all your AOVs. So we have inside, which is that fill, that nice top fill that you got there. You have your rim, which actually looks to be hitting the jacket. So it might be in something in the grading. And then this, okay, so what may be happening is it might be coming from potentially from the window. Because we're seeing it here. We're seeing the key. We see the key on him, and it just seems like there's a shadow or something that's because we see it right here too, like lights hitting here, but it's just not on this jacket. So I would take a look and see if there is something going on with like a shadow or something, not that's occluding the jacket.
Okay. All right.
But other than that, looking great. I think it's really like big improvements. The shaping on this character is looking really nice. And yeah, I think it's just again just all these little small tweaks are really just helping it like plus the image. Okay, I'm gonna go on to Alex next. Alex, I think you're in awesome shape. I only have like tiny notes, and feel free to ignore these if you want to move on. But I just have like the smallest notes just to see if we can get this to be just like even just a little bit better. But again, like we're now into like the granular section of critiques. Um, the first thing I would say is maybe you can like the intensity on this window right here is really high, and it's pulling my eye up there compared to like around here. Like if you could maybe be able to just take down that exposure just over here, and and you might be able to do it today with the techniques that I'm going to show you within Nuke. So that's one thing that you can potentially do. Another thing, another challenge. This looks great. Like the light hitting everything is looking really great. The next challenge would be maybe we might actually need because right now it just feels like there's like a sphere light out there. It doesn't feel like it's either a torch on like the door or like a hanging light. So it might be nice to have like maybe a lantern that it's inside of. Okay. Just to kind of give that sense that this is coming from a natural source. This is a little bit ambiguous, right? The key art, they just put like, oh, we just have like a light source somewhere in there. They might have like candles right here, and there might be like a torch or something there. It's a little bit more ambiguous. I think we can push it and make it actually feel like there's like an actual practical light somewhere.
Okay, yeah, I can try to make a model or something like that to.
Yeah, and even check if there's like a free 3D model too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember when I was a student, I would look for free 3D models first before I started modeling anything, just so I can like get to the lighting part faster.
Yeah.
The other little things would be just just pushing the intensity on here on this post a little bit more.
Okay.
Pushing the intensity. It feels like the intensity is brighter here than on these steps, so I would add a little more intensity on these steps.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you can this looks great. What I would try to do is go from that pale desaturated yellows here to the more saturated yellows to like the reds and the pinks to here, like more see how you kind of have it here. See, it goes like more like neutral yellow and then reds.
Mm-hmm.
I would do the same thing out here. It's like our grads are not just value. We also want to show hue gradients as well, and that helps like define the depth. So when a bright yellow like firelight, what happens is when it's tighter to the source, it's a little bit more neutral. Then as it gets further away, it starts getting more and more red. So I think you can push that where it gets more yellow. It's like neutral here, more yellow here, and then the pinks here.
Okay, I'll try that.
I mean, I think that's really like all I have, but it looks really great. This feels really nice. Like your stepping is great in the background. How we're moving back a bit.
I know I had a lot of difficulties with the saturation in the volume and the background. Do you think it's a bit better now?
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Okay.
I mean, I would push it maybe a little more saturated just over here, but I think it really works. I don't think you need to go too much further with that.
Sounds good.
Oh, and then the other thing too is like maybe adding a little bit more light on this side, this face as well, like or just like more intensity. Again, what I'm trying to do is like just get our eye over to here, so that way because you have great shaping going on up here. I think it's this area that can like similar to like what they're doing here. It's like they're making this like the focal point, and then up here it's like it's not as strong. Like our eye is still kind of like moving to this moment, and what they did is like such a great kind of an S curve in terms of composition. Your eye starts here, moves into this space. So it's kind of the same thing that we're gonna try to do as well.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, any questions?
Not really.
All right, yeah. Great job. I think you just have like little small tweaks and then if you want to move on to another exercise, I think you're more than welcome to.
Nice.
All right, moving on to Sam. So this is looking really cool. I only have some small notes on here as well. I love the little dust that and just to kind of show like before and after, like all the little kind of like specks you have in the background, like or flecks, like underwater dirt in the water is looking really cool. What I would push you to try to do is get some of those in the foreground, larger, out of focus, like specks in the foreground. That's going to help us layer So it's like we have some in the background, and then if you have some in the foreground, then it'll feel like, and you can frame this character. You can have like these bigger flecks like over here, and then kind of frame this character a bit. And then I think you can also put, again, this is another challenge. You can add a little bit of bubbles kind of coming up from your character, and that also kind of accentuates that we're underwater. Like this character breathes oxygen, so you can add in a little, and actually I'm not even quite sure if it does breathe oxygen, but it always helps to have some bubbles in here to kind of influence that we're underwater, and have them like in focus too. That'll help with, again, that layering. And then the last thing is just I still think that your volume caustics can go brighter at the top. I think you can really see how bright it is up here, like exaggerate it. I say go further than you feel comfortable, and then we can pull it back if necessary. We want this to accentuate that there is light coming from above. So having your God rays pretty bright feels that way. And then the last note would be, let's see if you can continue to add a little more saturation. Actually, this might be a little bit too far. A little bit more saturation in your darks, just your fill side of your character. And you can keep the reflection cool, that cool blue. Keep the reflection blue, but it's only like the diffuse. You want the diffuse to go a little bit more saturated. And like having that, then it won't go as, like, if you look at it, it starts getting a little bit gray. Having that saturation really feels like the character is like alive. When it starts going a little bit gray, then our characters kind of like it goes almost it feels a little bit dead. So adding, and it's tough because we're pushing up cool fills from underneath, so it's mixing with these pinks, and it starts to get like almost desaturated a bit. So if in under like these fills, if you can get some more saturation and then keep your that reflection cool, it's going to give you this really nice shaping. But I think that's all I have, again, just to kind of push this a little bit further, but I think it's really great. Oh, I forgot to add that your chromatic aberration looks really nice around those edges too. So great job. And then lastly, I have Ronald. I think you're basically there. The only things that I would do is I would just put this all in shadow. All these little like hits on the, like, I would just keep the dapple here and then put this whole entire thing in shadow. And then like the saturation in there is really nice when it's in shadow. I would just get more saturation in these shadowed areas, just so you can like this, like where you have the saturation here, we should have it there as well. And I mean, other than that, I think it looks great. Again, just some minor notes, and I think you're in good shape. Okay, so on to the demo. So I have this file here, and I was talking about how can we add some grads, say vertical, like just kind of ramps within our shot that stay in space. So it's like when we create a roto and we have a moving camera, it's going to swim a bit. But what we really want is we want to keep that grad to stick where the location is. So I'm going to go through some methods to be able to do that. So Darwin, in his shot, he has a position his position data. And that, I think, first of all, I think that's great. I think everyone should always render out normals and position. And this right now, this is a world position. I would also suggest rendering out reference or object position, because that's going to stick to an object whether it is animated or not. I won't go over like the difference between world and reference position tonight. I think that's another lesson, but just keep in mind that the world position is great for placing something in world space and not needing to stick to an object that is moving. When you want it to stick to an object, you're going to use your reference / object position. But here, what I've done is I have shuffled out that position data in the Y, because what I want to do is I want to do a vertical grad. So your Y position data is going to be up and down. Your X position is going to be left and right. And your Z position is going to be in space. And this is in world position. So again, I'll go over that another time, but I want to do a vertical grad, so I'm using Y. And then what I did is I shuffled that out into all the RGB and alpha all in the Y. And then I went to a grade, and let me pull this over, and I was able to take the black point, and I'm doing a Control Alt and clicking and dragging, and now I'm able to kind of create this ramp of where I want the black point. So this is black down here, and now I'm picking where I want the white point. So that's my white point up there. So what that allows is to have this grad. And then what I did is I unpremulted and premulted, and then I just did a grade and graded using that mask, putting this in the mask. And now you can see that it's gradding from top to bottom. And now we can keep those warm bounces at the below and then have cool at the top. You can do the same exact thing. So if like you wanted your like you want to go across, you can go and let me go back to this grade again. So white point on this side, black point. Oops, let me go here. Black point over here. So now I'm saying I want my grad to come from right to left. And when I look at this again, so now you have right to left. And this will stay like this when the camera moves. So there's that point. There's doing that the traditional way, using your grade. The other way you can do it is I have downloaded a gizmo called PRamp. I've downloaded a PRamp, and then I also have a PMAT, and I'll go over those separately. And then I'll also go over how to install this. So a PRamp is asking for what position data do you want, and I'm saying I want my world position. I want it to output in my alpha. So when I look at the alpha, that's where I'm gonna see that grad. Then I'm gonna do the same thing that I was doing before. This time I don't have to shuffle anything. All I have to do is I want it to start down here, and I want it to end up here. And you can see I didn't have to shuffle out anything. It does it automatically for me. The additional thing is it has fall off type, so it starts, the default is linear. None is just gonna be, is essentially just gonna be this step version of it. I usually tend to keep smooth, but it also has quadratic and exponential and cubic. But I tend to like the smooth version of it. And here's a version. Here's where it looks like with quadratic and exponential. And exponential is going to decay a lot faster. So exponential is great if you're trying to mimic lights. And then you can see it fall off will start pushing towards that black point. So this is basically just having it on none. The other great thing that it has is I just wanted the Y. So here's your Y, and now it's doing the same thing that I just did earlier. When I have it on start to end, it's doing all axes. It's doing X, Y, and Z. So I can do it on an angle using this. But if I just want my Y, X, or Z, I can just go and isolate those. So I have Y, and then I have this isolated. And then what I did is I just wanted to isolate this just from the RGBA fill AOV. So I shuffled that out into the RGB, and then I did I removed it from the shot, or from the image, and then I plussed it back in, and I did a grade. Oops, let me go back here. I unpremulted, premulted, did my grade, and now you can see that I have that above. But sometimes you want to grade more than one AOV, not have to do this all the time. So I found this additional node online called Grade AOV. And what this does, it has some really great options. I haven't used this until today, but this has something similar to what we have at work. But what it does is you're able to, first you can create a contact sheet. So you can see like all your AOVs that you have to work with and what's happened. And this is great for troubleshooting. You can go in and then pick whatever AOV you want, and then it does all the, and then you can go down here and you can unpremult it down below, and it does all of your grading up here. So now it also, one last thing, it has this really handy button here that allows you to copy that node, and then it links everything to that original one. So all I wanted was, I wanted it to link everything that I was doing, but I just wanted to change the different AOVs. So it allows me to grade multiple AOVs. And the great thing about this one too is, if I look at the fill AOV, it'll grade that one as well. Although what I'm noticing is it doesn't look like, again, I just started trying this out today, so I'm not sure why. I'm just gonna dive in. Why that is, okay, so we have that going to RGBA fill. Okay, so they're doing key mix. Okay, so that's one to keep in mind. That seems like it's a bug, is that it will not, if we look at our RGBA, it's grading based off of this, and it's using a key mix, but it's not doing the same operation to the AOV that I was working on. I would expect this to just be cool up here and warm down below. But it's not doing that. So that's something to keep in mind when you're grading. So maybe it's not at this moment, it might not be great to use these, but if you want to, that's how to use it. Second, so maybe we want to add a vertical grad on our characters. This is where I would suggest using reference or object positions, so it just sticks to your character all the time, unless you want it to move out in this ramp. But as you can see, I can create a vertical grad on this character, and you're probably wondering, why is it giving this edge? And that is because we do ignore alpha. You can see that the position data is happening to everything, and even on the outside. It's grabbing not just your character, but what's outside your character as well. So that's just another gotcha to keep in mind when you're doing these types of grading, is that, let me go back here, is that you may come across some of these aberrations like this. And sometimes you can, and a lot of times you won't really need to worry about that, because that's coming from the outside of, let me see, what one of these has a contact sheet. That's coming from outside of your alpha, but again, it's something to notice, because you might get certain things like that. And then to fix that, you can do an erode. So you can see that just eroded those pixels on the outside. And now everything should be clean. But now if you look at, I did the same thing as I was doing there, and I just did a grad down below. I'm just take this off a second. I did a grad down below, and I used all these AOVs just so I can get much more vertical grad on this character. Dark below and lighter above, so we can focus more on our character's face. Okay, so that is how you can do P ramps on your character using, and your environment using P ramp. The next node that I was using was PMAT, and what PMAT does is same thing as PRamp, and you put in your position data, and then it has shapes. It has a sphere and it has a cube. So I can go in, and I'm going to go and I'm going to increase the scale, and I'm going to go, and now I have this sphere that I can move around this character. Say I just want to like isolate just his face, and I can move that around. I can put that to the different fall off types that I have, and now it creates this nice little spherical grad on your character. I can do this as well in the environment. So I can put this in the environment, increase the size of it, and now I have this spherical grad that I can use that'll stay in world space, and be able to do a nice spherical grad. Now you can also do a cube as well. So I can take this this fall off down, and you can see that now it's a cube in space, and you can start using this to say like, and Alex, this is what I was talking about earlier, and you go here. So say in this, I just wanted to isolate maybe like this picture frame. So I can put this grad in here and I can move it here and start to decrease. Say you don't have like crypto mats, or you want to get very kind of specific in an area, you can go and start using this to kind of place it where you want it to be. Maybe add a little bit fall off to this, increase the size. And now I was able to grab that super quickly. So yeah, you have this PMAT at your disposal too. And again, I'm gonna go over where to get these in this couple minutes. So what I'm using this as, so before I showed everybody how to shape our irises using transforms. So we have our RGB eye mats. We created this expression for just the pupil and the iris. And then we moved them and added a little bit of a blur. And then we merged them back into that original mat for the eyes. So now you can see when we transformed it, you can put that right here, move it here, but if the light's coming in this direction, I'm going to shape it from that direction. And I was able to darken it. And then we did the same thing for the light. So we took it, we transformed it, we moved it back in. You can see that it's light down there, and I can move these around and have a good idea of how to shape his irises. So you can see and shape that pretty quickly, like that. But what if we want to do it with position data? So we can use this PMAT. I'm doing the left eye first, or screen left eye. Oh, sorry, this is screen right eye. This is screen left. So I have the that circular or spherical mat that I was using that I can move around. Oh, this is move that around there. I can move that. This one right here. I screened those together. I put those inside of those eye mats that we created. And now I'm using that as a dark. So now I can go in, I'm saying screen left, I want that dark up here. And then screen right, I want this dark right here. And then what we can do is we can create an invert of that. So this is where we were placing those mats. And then I just did an in with those eye mats again. So what that does is now I have my lights on that side. And I'm only needing to do that. So I can pull that over here if I wanted the irises over there, or I can pull it right here if I want the darkening over there. The good thing about using this method compared to this method is if you're using object space positions or reference space positions, it will stay with the size of your eye constantly, and the fall off will be correct. Whereas with this blur that we're using for this method, if your character is moving forward in space towards camera, that blur is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter because it's using pixel radius. So right now the pixel radius is small, and we have a very small pixel radius. But as we get close, as he gets closer to the camera, your pixel radius is going to get larger, but this is not changing. So this is a method that will stick and stay true. Okay, so how do we get these?
So Shane?
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, no problem.
I was gonna ask, so even though the eyes move and like as he turns around or rolls his eyes, it's going to look the same as when you first put it, or you have to track it or something
If
like
you
that?
use object space, or depending on the software you're using, object space or reference space positions, it will stick. It will stay there. So no matter where he moves his eyes, it will stay in that position. You'll always have that shaping.
Okay, all right. So maybe I'd be better off using the object position also when like as an AOV when rendering out this.
Yeah, I would render out world object, and then the other one I would render out too is camera space positions, and that's going to allow you to create some nice p-fog in your scene because it's based off like as your camera's moving. And I'll show that another time. As your camera's moving forward, it's going to stay with the camera rather, so it's like it feels like you're going through fog. I'll show that another time though. But for this to get like, say like even if like you were trying to this, so let's just use this as another example. So say on the arm, like we were like, okay, well, right now I can't get more light over here. Like I'm having a lot of trouble. Well, let's do this method. I am gonna take, and let me put another grade down so I can. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna gain this up pretty high, and then I'm gonna create much larger. So now we can see our scale. So I'm like, now I'm able to move this over here, and maybe like on the Y axis, let's see, is that Y? Let's see. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. This. See, on the Y-axis, I'm increasing the scale of this. On the X-axis, I'm increasing that, and now I'm gonna add more fall off and scale to it. And honestly, this is like worst case scenario when you're doing stuff. So when I'm showing a really big cheat, most of the time you want to get this in in render. But when you're in a bind and you need something kind of quick, so now you can see that we're shaping them a little bit more on this side. I can then also maybe just put it up here a little bit more, add a little bit more fall off to this, and then no, that's where actually I want quadratic. Take down that a bit, increase this a bit. So now you can start seeing that I just added more light screen left without having to. And again, you would want to use unless you like want him to like walk in and out of light. If he's walking in and out of light, that's where you use world position. If you want to stick, that's where you're going to use object position. Any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I am going to show you where to grab this though. On Nukepedia, you can look up pmat, and you can download it. And then you can look up p-ramp. So it's p_ramp, p_mat. And that's where you're going to get those two gizmos. And the way to install it is after you download it. Let me see if I can go here. I'm just going to go my C drive. I'm going to go to the users. This is on Windows, by the way. And I'm going to go to users. I'm going to go into my .nuke directory. And you're going to add your pmat and your p-ramp gizmos into there. Now, initially, you're not going to be able to be able to grab them unless you do all plugins and update. But if you want it to come in on startup, you're going to have to go to your menu file, open that up. And then you're gonna put in toolbar equals. So I can send this as well. I'm gonna send this file today. I'll actually do this. I'll send on Discord. I will put the so you don't have to download it from Nukepedia. I will put the gizmos on there. I will put this menu file that I have just for reference, and then I will put this Nuke script in there as well for everyone to reference. And then the only thing that you're going to want to do is do this line and then this line, these two lines. Everything else, don't do those because these have to do with another script in Python that I use. All right, so that was position data, how to use it, manipulate it, work with it within your scene. Big caveat, like I was saying earlier, do not use this to relight your stuff. It just will not look accurate. Use it as more graphic design, big swaths of ramps and grads. Use it for grads when you're doing like vertical grads on your characters. Use it for your eye shaping. You can use it for like big, like here I'm doing it like a vertical or a horizontal grad on the character. So like you can use it this way as well as a horizontal grad. Or just isolating certain areas within your environment to kind of like just add more. And like when I say graphic design, I'm isolating an object to give it more intensity so it separates, or a different hue so it separates. So thinking in that terms of graphic design. Okay. Any other questions, Alex or Darwin?
Not really not for now at least.
Right.
No, yeah. Just one little thing. So in Maya, I'm not sure if what's the name of the IOV for the AOV for the object position or object reference position, because I only saw the P as position for world, but I'm not sure if I have to download something, or it should be in Maya.
I will search as well. You're using Arnold?
I'm using Arnold, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be searching as well.
I'll research it. What I would also do is post it on the chat, the Discord global chat. That way, like, because I haven't worked in Arnold in a really long time. So they might have a faster way or more knowledge on it than I have. But I'll look for it as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be asking for on the Discord as well.
Perfect. All right. Well, that concludes today's feedback. Great work, everyone. As I was saying earlier, like all the stuff that I've been seeing of this latest pass was just small iterations, and that's just that just means that you've made huge strides and your image is working really well. And now it's just taking it and plussing it small, like in these small iterations to make it just look that much better. All right, so